Hello, everybody. My name is Saji Jacob. I work for Alten Calsoft Labs. I lead the healthcare solutions division in our company. Just a very quick note about our company. We are basically an engineering services company, and we are spread out almost to 20 countries, and we have a strength of 21,000 employees totally. In the healthcare segment, we provide services to medical technology companies, providers, payers, medical devices, life sciences, and we're also involved equally in digital health, the social mobility, analytics, and cloud solutions. This presentation probably would be slightly different from what you've been seeing from yesterday, because most of the presentations from yesterday probably were focused on products and solutions which you've already taken to the market using FHIR resources. But ours is we are still developing. We have a vision on what to do, but probably we're taking it slow because we directly work with the EHR companies and the payers. The level of confidence there to get the product out or the data, to expose the data is slightly slow there. So as we learn, it was a lot of learning experience for me, especially from yesterday, because we see the other side. All of you have created apps from the patient's point of view or from a clinician's point of view, but for us, when we think about data being exposed in the EHR, that has been one of the most difficult tasks, to go convince the EHR providers why the data should be exposed, first of all, because it has always been a closed house. So we're trying to see how technically, what is the strength that we can keep it on table to make sure that the data is exposed well. So that's the small background there. This is an overview of what we are trying to accomplish, but we are in a we've taken just baby steps here. What we are trying to do is, for example, we are working with medical devices company. We are working with a group of hospitals where we go pick up data from the devices. For example, we worked on a central monitor device. The data was not in a readable format. We used drivers to convert the data first in a standard format, and then from the standard we converted it to an V2 format. From V2, we hope there are resources allocated from FHIR. We don't see it yet, but we hope someday there will be a FHIR resource which we can map for the device itself. So that's something that we are looking forward. What we eventually want to do here is consolidate all the medical devices data, not push to the EHR, but have it as a separate database, put all the data in there, and then provision the doctors and the clinicians within the hospital to view the data. Now, today what is happening is, for example, in the case which I just explained, the doctors, if they have to see any data, they have to come down to that particular floor where they see 60 patients. All the data is on one monitor, maybe a third or a fourth monitor, but the data is in one place. So what we do is we consolidate all the data, take it into a separate database, and once the data is published, then using RESTful architecture, of course, you can publish apps, or you can take it to a web page or console or admin and do all the other stuffs like you see on the right side of the screen. So all those things are possible, but we are focusing mainly on the left side of it. How data can be made available. As long as data is available, the right side is an easier part here. So that's our vision on the devices part. Similarly, on the EHR DB, we have experiences working on the meaningful use. Right now, we're focusing on the meaningful use third stage, on the MIPS, whatever the requirements are there on the MIPS, and also financial regulatory needs. The last 3-4 months was very hectic for the team. They've been working on the regulatory requirements of 2016 for the financials, and right now on the meaningful use. So again, there, if you look at it, there were a lot of requirements related to CCD. Anybody who is involved in meaningful use would know that a lot of data exchange. So we hope FHIR would solve many problems. At least 2-3 years down the line, there will be no more CCD requirements and all these things. So hopefully resources would be sufficient to publish any of such data. So this is our prototype. We are not there yet. We are probably like 5% of what we are aiming. But hopefully once FHIR has a stage reached, we're keeping very close eye on what FHIR can bring up so that we can get to this solution. Once we have the EHR and the medical devices data available, and of course data analytics becomes easy. You can crunch the numbers, or you can retrieve the data as and when required. And of course the same is applicable to the payers also. Yeah, these are the things that I just spoke about. So are basically we're trying to build this framework so so it becomes easier for everybody involved in the right side of it. A quick status on this. So we did 3 pilots. This is the framework we have built till now. We built 3 pilots. None of it is in production, but this is what we see it's growing into. It could become a totally different schematic diagram slowly, but what we are trying to do here is we've built a transformer which is basically a few methods where we are mapping from one version to the other version. The whole objective is to have a clear mapping structure which would basically map between V2 and the FHIR resources. So that's a main idea here. So that's. And I just want to talk about the few pilots that we worked on. On the resources side, we've always picked up only the ones which are maturity level 3. The patient and observation was the one that we worked on. On the observation, that was a medical devices pilot project that we did, which was just talking about basically the patient's observation were published, and we were able to do it using the FHIR resource, and we were able to create apps and also portals for the hospital, which was a successful pilot. We hope to take it forward and do it for all other devices also. Family history bundle and patient were the other ones which we use. We use the DSU, the standard 2 specification. And then what we plan to do as a next step is from the HL7 version to ADT messages, we are planning to put down all in the matrix and map it against the FHIR resource. Right now we don't see it mapped fully. Maybe it's a learning curve for us. We'll go back and see how it is. But basically this is what we want to do as a first step before we let our EHR customers talk about this. And also, since it is a draft stage 2, it's slightly difficult for us to go convince the EHR customer to open up the DB or do anything related to FHIR. Hope the draft stage would be changed to an actual version within the next 1 year. We're keeping a very close eye on FHIR, and let's hope that within 1 year that happens. See, from our pilot experiences, I just wanted to come share my thoughts here. It has not been an easy route. We all know that when data is available, creating of apps is very easy. Creating of consoles are easy, but availability of data is what is most difficult. FHIR helps doing this. We work in retail industry, we work in automobile industry. Their data is not that difficult. We publish so many apps. But healthcare, creating an app is always empty. You create an app, there's no data because EHRs usually don't publish data. But we saw a lot of apps being created from yesterday. We saw Cerner, Allscripts, Epic. I would love to talk to all of them and see how they are doing it. Not sure how many resources are exposed, but since maturity level 3 is available only on few resources, but the number of apps that we saw from yesterday were a number of them. So not sure, there's a slight confusion, but I'll touch base with some of you and take it as a learning note. And also, if some of you could share thoughts on what you do on the security level between the FHIR resources, between the RESTful architecture and the OAuth 2. There is quite a bit of structure there, but still it's not fully confident. The providers are not fully confident to expose the data, so that's another thing. It's been of a concern. So it's going very slow. We would love to do this in a very fast-paced manner, but when data is available, we'll definitely. I think it should be a right step. But from version 2, this is my first HL7 meet. I've never been here, but the number one reason why I came was only because of the architecture change that HL7 was able to do it. It's a wonderful architecture. Hopefully in the next 2 years, we should see all documentation, everything go away, and everything we do should be related to apps and apps only. So, yep. Thank you very much.